So when you're the Blue Ranger, you're going to be expected to be the loyal, honorable one, and the one that's the second in command. But there have been some Blue Rangers that were, comic relief. You had a kid that was a Blue Ranger once. You had several Blue Rangers that were just pretty boys. You had a Blue Ranger that was too quiet and reserved. You had some Blue Rangers that were smart and intelligent. You had Blue Rangers who has a mom for a commander-in-chief of a grid battle force, and you had a Blue Ranger that goes strict by the books and regulations and authority, and several kinds of Blue Rangers like that. I mean, we've had at least one or two Blue Rangers that were comic relief, but every other Blue Ranger is mainly taken serious to the max. And so for my counting down of my top 10 Blue Rangers and Power Rangers, particularly 10 Blue Rangers that are my favorites, I'm not gonna, bring up every Blue Ranger. Not every Blue Ranger was my favorite. There's been some that were there, and there were some that were good and some that were bad, and then, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? But although I'm not gonna bring up also the Dino Fury Blue Ranger, because Dino Fury, like the Red Ranger one, like I said last time with that, Dino Fury hasn't started yet, so I can't judge about the Blue Ranger from that. So I will count down my top 10 Blue Rangers that we already have concurrently from Mighty Morphin through Beast Morphers within Power Rangers. Okay, so at number 10, I have Tate from Power Rangers SPD, because although he is just a top 10, top 10, not like a bottom top 10, like, oh, he's the worst Blue Ranger ever. I've always had some conflicting issues with Sky from SPD about how he is as a character. Just because his dad was the Red Ranger doesn't mean Sky should be the Red Ranger as well. Maybe when Sky, along with Sid and Bridge, was appointed part of B Squad when Jack and Z was, criminals until they were part of it. But the thing with Sky was about his character, there was something about him that had always bugged me for years, but I started to somewhat appreciate with him how he is, even though I don't really like his character per se, but he's just on the list just for, because. And he's just an alright Blue Ranger, even though I just didn't like how dickish he was and sexist and racist, and how he was to, when Doggy Kruger talked about in the beginning of the series about how when if Sid was appointed as Red Ranger, would he lead her to battle? And he replied to Doggy that, she's a girl, and I'm like, that's sexist. And then when he sees that Sky is the Jack is the Red Ranger, he finds that racist because, Jack, who is of African American descent, is the Red Ranger, and Sky, who is Caucasian, is the Blue Ranger. But heroes come in different colors and shapes and sizes and all. It doesn't matter. I mean, I understand, but his frustrations, no, that's why. Sky and Jack has always had this rivalry over, maybe he should have never been the Red Ranger, I should have been Red. It feels like it's a sense of entitlement right there. But the Reflections two-parter is the highlight of his character, that he needs to own up and accept that, being the Blue Ranger was what he was chosen to be. He was only the Red Ranger just once for part 2 in the Battleizer to honor his dad. But after SPD was over and when Jack retired, Sky was going to be the Red Ranger. He was just last seen in the final scene of the final episode, wearing the SPD B Squad red uniform that Jack once wore, and Bridge would be the Blue Ranger. But knowing when we get to Operation Overdrive, when we have SPD representation, that Bridge is the Red Ranger, again, knowing Bridge's odd, awkward explanation, how did he get appointed as Red Ranger for B Squad and stuff like that. But Sky was an alright Blue Ranger, but he's just, at this point here, not that he's the worst, but he's up here with the other Blue Rangers I'm mentioning on the video. And this one is, believe it or not, number 9 is Ethan, the Blue Dino Thunder Ranger. Because with Ethan, Ethan is like Billy and Zach rolled into the two characters. Life of the party and the geek at the same time. So What I liked about Ethan's character was how he's always in the technology. He's the computer geek, computer nerd. He likes video games. He didn't have much luck with girls, just like Billy didn't back in his day as the Blue Ranger. But the odd questioning about in that one of the episodes of Dino Thunder where Ethan and Cassidy were on a date and the date was whatever. But then there have been several episodes with Ethan, that excelled his character, like the bully episode with him dealing with the bully that was picking on him because he's a computer geek and stuff and a gamer. I mean, Ethan made geek culture somewhat cool before it got cool today, that sort of deal with him. But I actually liked Ethan for that and his relationship with Connor and Kira and even Tommy, Dr. Tommy Oliver, and the way how he was as a character in general. I really liked his enthusiasm for comic books and video games and other geek culture, because basically you can say he's being played off as a stereotype, but I actually like Ethan for who he is truly. Number 8 from Power Rangers Ninja Storm is my girl Tori, even though I wanted to put her at number 5 or so. But Tori's a number 8 because as the first female Blue Ranger in the franchise, Tori was, there wasn't that much you could say for her. She was just this hot blonde chick in the blue, and I've always had a crush on Tori, surfer chick, and there were a few episodes dedicated to her, but it wasn't just much. I mean, sure, the only time she did have some focus in episodes, unless it's with her crush being another Blue Ranger, Blake of the Thunder Rangers, and because Tori had everything that could have been in one package, from the guys, with Shane and Dustin, but Tori as the only girl on the group for Ninja Storm, she had she had to fend on her own in some episodes, like when she had to get the turtle mace in one episode, what was it, Snippet Good, I think, or was it that other episode? That episode when Tori had to battle Capri and Mara all to herself in order to get the turtle mace map thing and such. And also in the Wild Wipeout episode, which was probably one of the most bizarre but interesting episodes for her character and throughout Ninja Storm's run when it comes to singular filler episodes, where Tori, after being knocked out by a huge tidal wave, she wakes up and finds out that Lothor's army are the good guys and the Power Rangers are the bad guys. Basically, that was a decent episode for Tori, but then again, she just didn't have much to do as a character other than her being the hot surfer chick as the Blue Ranger. But she's still one of my favorites anyway. Number 7 is TJ, the Blue Space Ranger from Power Rangers in Space. TJ didn't really have much to do as the Blue Ranger other than, after he was once the Red Turbo Ranger after Tommy, and then when the Turbo powers were lost, TJ didn't have much to do during in space also, but the Blue Ranger suit was all him because the Red Turbo suit was a share. So when TJ became the Blue Ranger in space, he was pretty much now completely his own character, serving as more, like I said, second in command because, to the fact I liked the TJ as the Red Ranger when he showed some good leadership and being so unique as a leader as the Red Ranger during the second half of Turbo. But when TJ, Cassie, Ashley, and Carlos went up to space and discovered the megaship and discovered Andros, and when he was given this color of the Blue Ranger, I think he fitted fine as second in command. There have been some episodes when TJ was the Blue Space Ranger that served his character well. His Identity Crisis episode and during his conflict with Psycho Blue in 5 of a Kind, where he came up with a strategy how to take down Psycho Blue, since to the fact that you have Rangers not blue facing the Psycho Blue, you have to repaint the other Rangers the same color as you in order to combat your Psycho counterpart. And I think that was a great episode for him during that, but there weren't really, I don't think there was that many episodes dedicated to TJ during his space, sadly. It sucks, but he had a few episodes that was well dedicated to him during Turbo as the Red Ranger, but not as Blue. It seemed like it was like only 2 or 3 episodes of them of the 43 that were dedicated to him as the Blue Ranger. Number 6 from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue is Chad himself. And basically, Chad was a Blue Ranger I didn't really care much about back when Lightspeed Rescue aired 20 years ago. But in recent rewatches, there have been some episodes that were well dedicated to him also. So, like, you know, that episode when he had to face a competitor that he thought was, you know, being a martial artist sucks, it's for dweebs and stuff like that, until that guy that won off his character in the Chad and Kelsey episode from the early half of Lightspeed was working for Vipra, and then Chad had to face this guy and prove his self-worth and stuff, if he's worth being a proper martial artist. The Chosen Path was probably Chad's most highlightable episode of Lightspeed, when Mr. Takashiro finds disappointment in Chad, that instead of him going for being a top tier martial artist, he decides to be a Power Ranger, and Mr. Takashiro just wouldn't allow that with Chad, and it's just like he just didn't want to see him be a Ranger because he thought this whole being a Power Ranger was some childish thing to do or whatever. But then he has to open up later on in the episode that, you know, and when Mr. Takashiro had to choose the Cyclopter monster over the Blue Ranger, it started some conflict. But actually, Chosen Path was a great episode of Lightspeed. I highly recommend it. And one of the top tier Blue Ranger centric episodes, particularly for Chad. But the weakest of Chad's storyline, you know, character arc, is with him and the mermaid girl, Marina. Nothing wrong with the actress who plays her, but also, by the way, the actress who played the mermaid girl, Marina, believe it or not, was played by the same actress that played Psycho Yellow in Space. And, you know, we saw her as the Yellow Psycho Ranger, well, outside of the costume and stuff, and the voice, but then see her in Lightspeed Rescue with those mermaid, you know, flesh, you know, and all that. I mean, really? I mean, Chad, you know, sure, he's a lifeguard and stuff, but did he really need to go for the mermaid girl is, you know, again, beyond me, just because Blue Ranger and mermaid girl, like, is this really a thing? Let's not let that happen again. Okay, so at number 5 from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy is Kai, the Blue Galaxy Ranger. Basically, if you guys know my pain with Kai, I was not really much of a big fan of his character growing up at all, and but later on, I started to appreciate his character for who he is and what he's really about, you know. And to think, you know, when it comes to Rangers who are bad at cooking, you know, if you thought Mia was a bad cook of a Ranger, look no further to Kai, because there have been times where Kai wasn't a good cook, and there have been times he is a good cook. When it comes to him following rules and regulation onto Terra Venture, his animosity of following orders and rules with Commander Stanton in the GSA is one thing. He was, you know, when Leo became the Red Ranger, you know, when he wasn't really chosen to, but he was given the saber from his brother when his brother died. In the early episodes of Lost Galaxy, Kai was more like a leader than Leo was, because Leo had some time to grow up and realize his brother is gone. But after his brother came back and such, Leo was just, you know, Kai was mostly appointed as second in command still. When Kendricks died and when Carone returned as the Pink Ranger, Damon became second in command and Kai was just, you know, there. He had some good filler episodes dedicated to him, but it wasn't really much. Well, some of his character arc, some of his filler episodes dedicated to him is tied to his character arc about his rules and regulations and authority. Well, say for the Blue Crush episode when he was instructed by Commander Stanton to take a video of his daughter Jody doing a video, you know, do a ice skating thing, but then he decided to take the camera and videotape the girl he had a crush on in that one-off episode instead. But that was not going by that special assignment Commander Stanton assigned him for. Blue to the Test is basically Kai's highlight episode, because when Commander Stanton was under the Icy Angel spell, Kai, you know, this was the only time Kai would, you know, disrespect the rules and regulation from the commander and all of Terra Ventures, is that when Kai disobeyed the commander's orders to turn the colony straight forward to the Red Star. He never did it, and then that's why he got demoted. Took the, Commander Stanton would take the badges off of Kai's uniform, and he's out. But then when Kai had to face the commander when he was under that spell, and then when Kai defeated the monster alongside the other Rangers, Commander Stanton was already back to normal. Then they had to set a course to reverse course from the star, so that way they wouldn't get blown up or in the smithereens or whatever. Something like that, and blew to the test. But the worst thing that happened to Kai was, I think, where his character started to suck was, of course, he had to follow regulation or disobey the regulation come the beginning of the Lost Galaxy Captain Mutiny arc in the Enter the Lost Galaxy episode, when the Guardian of the Galaxy book showed up, and when Terra Venture's facility had to put the Guardian to detention. The Guardian seeks Kai for help to get him to get the Galaxy book back, but knowing the fact Kai was pretty much disrespecting rule there, and I think that's when his character started to stop growing after that. I mean, after he did what he did with the Galaxy book and got the Guardian out, and then the Guardian dies at the hands of Deviant, and then after that Kai was there. But he was still a good Blue Ranger. But the more I look back on him, though, he was an alright Blue Ranger. It's just in the beginning growing up, I just wasn't fond of his character that much. At number 4 is Rocky as Zeo Ranger 3 Blue from Power Ranger Zeo. Like TJ, as the Blue Ranger, after you were a Red Ranger, Blue is really your own suit, because when Rocky was the Red Ranger during Mighty Morphin Seasons 2 and 3 and the first non-canonical movie, Rocky as the Blue Ranger was his most suitable costume, because it was all his suit, because he was the Blue Ranger for all 50 episodes of Zeo. And basically, I just wish Rocky had more to do as the Blue Ranger. There have been some episodes when he was the Blue Ranger dedicated to him, like when he got turned into a plant monster almost, when he had to help a blind woman, and and then when King Mondo's initial last episode picked up, and when Jason returned and as the Gold Ranger, Rocky felt like the butt of jokes most of the time, but I still liked it Rocky as a Ranger, Red and Blue regardless, but Blue was mainly his own uniform. But I just wish Rocky had more to do. And also, when it came to Rocky's departure in Turbo, and before he departed after Power Ranger, when Steve Cardenas departed after Power Rangers, during, after between the transitional point from Zeo to Turbo, when Justin came up, Rocky could have mentored Justin to be the Blue Ranger, a la the Karate Kid, to pick up from mantle from what you were doing earlier as a Ranger, and for a 12 going on 13-year-old to pick up on. But basically, I guess they just didn't delve the time to give Rocky any sense of a proper storyline for his departure. And it sucks that Rocky never got the treatment he deserved during his time as either the Red or the Blue Ranger. But I actually liked it Rocky, again, and I still like Steve Cardenas and, liked his performance as the character. But I just wish Rocky had more to do during his time as either both the Red and the Blue Ranger. And of course, Cardenas wanted to, do his martial arts dojo stuff, so it's understandable why they stupidly made him throw his back in the Turbo movie, which was stupid. And well, I guess it sucks to be Rocky, right? Okay, so at number 3, I have another Blue Ranger, but it's from the Hasbro era recently. Ravi from Beast Morphers. Okay, so number 3 is him. And Ravi is, he was just recent, since Beast Morphers at the time of this video has finally came to a close. Ravi did grow over time as the Blue Ranger for me, but specifically about with him and Roxy and the thing he had with her, because he's the first Blue Ranger, I believe, since Lucas in Time Force to have a relationship with a female villain. Because Lucas and Nadira was sort of a thing, but they were hinting that during the near end of that season. But for Beast Morphers with Ravi and Roxy, yeah, they were an item at one point. And then also you got, Ravi being the first Blue Ranger to have a parent who is like one of the head somewhat commanders-in-chief of Grid Battle Force, and that was another interesting thing about him. But I feel like there wasn't really much I can say for Ravi besides those few things that's noticeable about him. There was the guerrilla art episode about how much he loved doing art and stuff, and and some things like that, and his friendship with his Beastbot Smash, and some stuff he had with Devin in an episode in the first season, but he was more about him and Ravi had more with the him and his relationship with Roxy. See, what I liked about Beast Morphers was that relationship between the two of Ravi and Roxy, and how it seemed like it came off a little bit of soap opera-ish for Power Ranger standards, because one of the things that was lacking in the Neo-Saban era for a lot of the Blue Rangers, from Kevin to Preston, was something like this with Ravi, because when Hasbro started to take over Power Rangers, I think this was the kind of drama I was expecting out of the seasons we have today, because while the other seasons were lacking drama and tension, Beast Morphers delivered on that aspect, because it was severely lacking and missing during the entire Neo-Saban era. So therefore, Ravi is on the list for some of those aspects and reasons why I put him on my list here. Okay, time is running out. So at number 2, I have another Ranger from, let's see, I did 3 Disney era Rangers. Oh, number 2 is Flynn from Power Rangers RPM. So Flynn is a number 2 Blue Ranger on my list, because I gotta bring up RPM, and because, of all the Rangers from RPM, I always liked Flynn, because he's our first Scottish Blue Ranger, and basically, I really liked his self-devoted episode, Ranger Blue. I actually liked his in one of the episodes when Gemma had already joined the team, where Gemma and Flynn had some chemistry in an episode or two. He was basically the strongest of the Rangers, and he had a great heart, and everything else about him. But I wish I could say more, but I'm running out of time. But all I can say is Flynn was a great Blue Ranger. He was one of my favorite parts about RPM, and his backstory episode says a lot about him. How he always wanted to be a superhero, but his father saw that as like fantasy kid stuff. But that's why he's just so great. And but when he failed to try to secure jobs when he was starting out before he became the Blue Ranger, but when the Vengeance virus attacked, then he swung in the action and saved lives and stuff. He's done so much during his time as the Blue. That's saying something. I have no honorable mentions for this video, just to get to the point, but the number 1 Blue Ranger is, of course, Billy Cranston, the original Blue Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, throughout all 3 seasons. Because Billy, throughout the entire course of Power Rangers, Billy has gone through the most growth and development throughout the run as his time as a Ranger, next to Kimberly and Tommy, and somewhat to a degree with Jason of the original 6. 4 of the original 6 had gone through some development, although Jason got shafted during season 2, and that's why he came back during Zeo to make up for it when he became the Gold Ranger in the Turbo movie and so forth. But Billy, the thing is, he had a bunch of episodes where he had to believe in himself and the confidence, and that is he worth being a martial artist. He was second in command later on when Kimberly left during the 3rd season. He was also the most useful, the most wiser, the more tech-oriented, and the very smartest of the group, and that's what I loved about Billy for so long, because basically my first favorite Ranger from Power Rangers was Billy, because considering I'm wearing a blue t-shirt, and even one thing, I used to be, for Halloween, the original Blue Ranger when I was a little kid for Halloween, and I think that's probably why I related to Billy so much, was because of how he was, self-esteem issues. I even have self-esteem issues, and that's why, look at me, I wear blue, and I'm not smart like Billy, I'm not supposed to, but at least, though, I had something just like with Billy in comparison. But basically, I really liked it how he was very useful later on, and once when his time as the Blue Ranger ended after Rangers in Reverse, and when they lost their Mighty Morphin powers for good this time by the end of the 3rd season, and when when the Rangers turned the kids again and when the Alien Rangers showed up, Billy became very useful to helping out the Alien Rangers. And when they changed everything back at the end of the Alien Rangers story arc in MMPR season 3, and when we were beginning Zeo, and then when Tommy and them became the Zeo Rangers, Billy became more of a tech aide alongside Zordon and Alpha, and that just showed how useful Billy was, but also his chemistry. But back in his days as the original Blue Ranger, particularly like in season 1, like his chemistry with Trini was one thing, because when Billy says a huge gigantic scientific nerd, that the term that the Rangers didn't understand what he means, Trini would always be there to translate what he was saying, those giant scientific words that are so, humongous and unanimous to bring up, But when Trini left, Billy became his own character, and the more and more I saw his development grow, it go to show that he was becoming a little mature, more confident now that he doesn't need Trini to help us, because knowing the fact, I don't know why, but of course what happened with the 3, and when we got Aisha and Adam and Rocky coming over and taking over the original 3 spot, and Billy didn't really needed any of the following quips and tropes that he had back in season 1, early season 2. By the time when Rocky, Adam, and Aisha took over Jason, Zach, and Trini's spots as the original red, black, and blue Yellow Rangers, and then also the significant change later on at the end of season 2, and then the first non-canonical movie, and also season 3 in Zeo, Billy no longer needs the glasses, because David Yost felt it was more comfortable wearing the contacts, because now that the character has grown so much, he doesn't need those glasses anymore looking like a dork. So basically, and also Billy is a little bit like Superman in a way sometimes too, but there's just some things about his character I can bring up a lot more. Plus also, in the episodes when Jason, Trini, and Zach were not around anymore, but when we had their god-awful voice dubbers and stand-ins, I liked it that we had more time with him and Kimberly during seasons 1 and 2, because I really liked that also with Billy, with him and Kimberly, because even in season 1, there were 2 episodes that Billy and Kimberly shared, like Power Ranger Punks, when Billy went punked, and I also liked the way how he came off like a Monty Python skit character, when he was like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? But again, that was in the Power Ranger Punk episode, a guilty pleasure of mine, by the way. And Switching Places, where another Billy and Kimberly episode where they swapped bodies, where Billy was in Kimberly's body and Kimberly was in Billy's body, and it just it's just wild. But there was just so much about Billy I can talk about, but I don't have all day or all 30 minutes to talk about him. But he is still one of the greatest Blue Rangers of all time. But I wish, though, that if David Yost was to come back for another season of Power Rangers, or for a reunion episode when we get the 30th anniversary coming up, I just hope that Billy would still retain, if there is a way he can retain his original Blue Ranger powers again for like the 30th anniversary or something, or I don't know, or come back as a mentor. But since Power Rangers is not under Saban's hands anymore and Hasbro owns it, there can be a way you can bring David Yost back as Billy, because we haven't seen him in almost now 25 years since Zeo, and the rumors about him making the Turbo powers and the Zords for Turbo following his departure, and after helping out the Alien Rangers a couple of times while the Zeo Rangers were dealing with the Machine Empire. I mean, that's a mouthful I had to say about Billy in this video, have I? Because it just goes to show how great Billy was as the Blue Ranger. And when he's not a Ranger, he was still a great character nevertheless. So what do you guys think of my top 10 Blue Rangers video? Let me know in the comments who your favorite Blue Rangers are. Next time I'm going to count down my top 10 Yellow Rangers. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.